One.
Hello everybody, this is the Washington Post, and today we'll be interviewing
Mr. William Weldon. My name is Emily Laje. I'm representing him today.
Mr. Rodriguez, and this is
Miss Natalia.
right. So,
Okay. So the first question that we're asking is, what topics need to be addressed in this election?
Definitely our right to abortion and our right to our Second Amendment.
Do you feel that the economy has any effect?
Oh, of course. Inflation rates are way too high right now, and they definitely need to be, cut down. We gotta fix the economy.
How exactly do you plan to do that?
Well, we believe in old school Pelican values, especially trickle-down economics, essentially lowering taxes across the board in all classes, which could alleviate the stress from lower classes and just cause a better standard of living with lower prices.
If we're lowering taxes, how are we supposed to our government?
Well, we believe in lowering government spending as well. Of course, defense is unfortunate, huge, I'd say, sponge when it comes to funds from the government, but there are other parts which don't necessarily need as much money, and we're definitely going to be cutting down on the amount of money that's been spent, especially in this current administration, which has seen record high amounts of public debt.
How do you feel about the increasing amount of government spending in military?
Well, unfortunately, with the events that are currently occurring in Eastern Europe, defense will most likely have to be rising in the next years. Defense spending will most likely have to be rising in the next years. However, we are still taking a firm stance with our NATO allies in encouraging them on spending their fair share in fighting for their defense. As outlined in the NATO treaty, 2% of their GDP.
you mentioned Eastern Europe. What's gonna be your plan of action if you get elected with the Ukraine situation?
We will definitely keep supporting them with weapons, and we will also be extremely ready for any possible strikes. Aside from that, we also want to invest more into theater defense systems. Missiles have long been the more preferred way to engage the enemy from now, and drones are becoming a constantly looming threat across all of Europe.
Speaking about missiles, how do you feel about current gun laws?
Sorry, what?
Current gun laws?
Well, we do believe in personal independence and personal autonomy, and so we believe that many of the regulations are encroaching too much on our Second Amendment rights.
So you believe there shouldn't be any gun restrictions?
Of course, regulations should exist. We can't just have anyone out there. Certification should be a test of both your mind and your physical abilities with a gun. However, if you
So are you referring to the grade of the weapon? Should they have a pistol or an AK-47? What do you believe is appropriate for a daily American?
Unfortunately, crime has been skyrocketing in many parts of our country, and in certain areas, there are certain weapons that are necessary to defend yourself and your family.
So you believe someone should have an AK-47?
If it is necessary, then a weapon should be able to
When
defend
would
you.
this be necessary?
Sorry, what?
When would having an AK-47 be necessary?
We believe more in the. Don't look at me like that. We believe more in the regulation of who's accessing these weapons than what weapons are being provided. And then on top of that, we're also going to find a way to regulate the amount of illegal weaponry in the United States. And we feel it's more important that if these weapons are going to be in the country, they're going to be legally accessed and gone through the proper procedure to own these weapons.
We do support universal background checks of all people who do purchase weapons.
What are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think it's completely within someone's right to use civil disobedience to raise awareness on an issue.
Do you support it?
I personally do believe that all lives matter.
I have a question in regards to all lives matter. How do you feel about abortion?
I feel that once again, as we are pro personal independence and pro personal autonomy, that abortion is completely within someone's rights. All right, the 14th Amendment protects the right to privacy, and the right to privacy extends to someone's body.
Do you believe that institutionalized racism has affected Black people in America?
Unfortunately to say, racism has long been a part of the United States, and it has been recognized for many years in the past, and it should be eradicated, of course, but it is very difficult to do so. Now, within my administration, within the White House, I will never let any sort of prejudice take control of the administration. However, unfortunately, I can preach as much as I want to. I can put as many regulations as I want, but fundamentally, it is a bit of a cultural issue at times in certain areas of this country.
So you don't plan to help it at all?
Of course, we need to re-educate.
We plan to do what we can. However, these beliefs are very much instilled into the American society at times, and we plan to do what we can, but we can't change people's minds. We will preach what we can, we will put things in place as much as we can, but at the end of the day, we do support people's opinions and overall their right to believe what they want and say what they want.
So, on another note, are you guys aware of the current situation with mass shootings in schools?
We're extremely aware, yes. And you see, we have realized that since the Columbine shooting, there have been many new legislations put into place to restrict someone's access to weapons. These theoretically should work. However, the rate of violent mass shootings has only increased since then. Now, of course, correlation does not automatically equal to causation. However, it could be argued that maybe it's time to take a different approach to protecting our schools. Rather than just restricting access to guns, we should be supporting maybe adding more defenses to our schools. Schools are the heart of the United States, and that's where they're always targeted.
So, as you previously said, you support any type of guns to be provided to the American people. Do you believe that AK-47s have facilitated mass shootings in schools?
Many of the mass shootings come from American-made weapons, not really Russian ones. And
do you believe semi-automatic weapons are at fault for mass shootings in schools?
Most weapons are really just semi-automatic.
We believe that the fault for shootings are more than likely the person behind the gun and not exactly the gun. So as he was saying before, on top of defenses at schools, lots of reasons for
Which is why we support universal background checks.
Would the universal background checks discriminate against people with disabilities?
Of course not. We will take into account your disability, and we will try to understand if you will be completely capable of handling a weapon. Of course, we wouldn't want to...
On what basis?
Well, of course...
Criminal record?
Criminal record, of course, but we can't simply strip someone's rights just because they were formerly a criminal. That's equal to disenfranchisement of someone's vote, which is something that most media outlets have been condemning the Republican Party for years. I do not support that.
You believe a felon should not be disenfranchised?
Of course not. A felon is still a citizen, and when he has served his time, he has been given back his rights.
I believe this is very subjective depending on the crime. Obviously, anyone who was involved in violent crime would not be allowed to own a weapon. But not all felons are involved in violent crime.
What are your current thoughts on the environment? Is there something that needs to change?
Yes, there is a lot of things that need to change. The environment when it comes to the United States, I always say this, it's one of the most beautiful environments in the entire world, and it's so badly kept.
One last question.
How do you plan to make it better?
Well, we do have an energy plan within our plans in our administration, and one of them has to do with coming off of Arabian oil. Now, this has not only to do with the effects of global warming, but also the fact that Saudi Arabia, a long ally of the United States that we have helped through countless different crises, has begun to distance itself from us and align more with the Russian sphere of influence. And with that, they obviously have decided that they no longer need the United States, and hence we no longer need them either.
Do you believe in global warming?
Yes.
And do you plan to try and improve it, or is there any policies you plan to enact to help?
Of course. We have a nationwide mandate we'd like to put in place, which would essentially obligate every state to create their own 10 to 20-year plan in which they would be able to completely electrify their vehicle grid.
One final question, and this will be the last one. What are your thoughts on the legalization of marijuana and opioids?
Once again, we believe in personal autonomy, and hence it falls completely within someone's personal right to take certain substances.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. This is the Washington Post.